The professional standards. When auditing financial statements, an auditor assumes certain professional responsibilities. Auditor's opinion must be based on an examination conducted in accordance with professional standards. Failure to comply with these standards exposes the auditor to risk such as loss of public respect or even assessment of legal damages. Standards are established to measure the quality of performance of individuals and organizations. Standards relating to the accounting profession concern themselves with CPA's professional qualities, the judgment exercised by the CPAs in the performance of their professional engagement, and the CPA firm's quality control policies and procedures. The Board of Accountancy promulgated the 10 Generally Accepted Auditing Standards or GAAS. Thus establish required level of quality for performing financial statement audits. These standards must be followed by CPAs when auditing financial statements. So before, meron lang tayong 10 GAAS o yung tinatawag na Generally Accepted Auditing Standards. But in the development of these standards, the Philippine Standards on Auditing or the PSAS issued to clarify the meaning of these 10 GAAS. Auditing procedures are the means used by the auditors in attaining the quality required by the standards. So yan yung paglilinaw o pagbibigay ng mas malawak na explanation. Kaya from the Generally Accepted Auditing Standards ay naging ano na tayo ngayon, Philippine Standards on Auditing or the PSAS. So let us go back to the Generally Accepted Auditing Standards or the GAAS. So before, this is how it is developed, the GAAS. So the GAAS represent measures of the quality of the auditor's performance. These standards should be looked as a minimum standard of performance that auditors should follow. These 10 GAAS are grouped into general, fieldwork, and reporting standards. So tatlong grouping lang dati ang auditing standards. And under the general standards, technical training and proficiency, independence, professional care. Under the standards of fieldwork, planning, internal control, and evidential matter. And under the standards of reporting, the GAAP or the Generally Accepted Accounting Principle, inconsistency, disclosure, and opinion. So these are the main content of the 3 groupings of GAAS before. So these are the general standards 1 to 3. The examination is to be performed by a person or persons having adequate technical training and proficiency as an auditor. So, kaya nasa general standards yung unang katangian ng auditor, dapat meron siyang technical training and proficiency. In all matters relating to an engagement, an independence in mental attitude is to be maintained by the auditor. So, sa number 2 ay independence ang binibigyan ng diin. 3, Due professional care is to be exercised in the performance of the audit and in the preparation of the report. So these are the general standards. Then the standards of fieldwork. The work is to be adequately planned and assistance, if any, are to be properly supervised. There is to be a proper study and evaluation of existing internal control as a basis for reliance thereon and for determination of the resultant extent of the tests to which auditing procedures are to be restricted. So this is where the reliance on existing internal control is considered. And number 6, under the standards of fieldwork, sufficient competent evidential matter is to be obtained through inspection, observation, inquiries, and confirmations to afford a reasonable basis for an opinion regarding the financial statements under examination. The last 4 standards will be under the standards of reporting. The report shall state whether the financial statements are presented with the generally accepted accounting principles. The report shall identify those circumstances in which principles have not been consistently observed in the current period in relation to the preceding period. And number 9, informative disclosures are to be regarded as reasonably adequate unless otherwise stated in the report. And number 10, the report shall either contain an expression of an opinion regarding the financial statements taken as a whole, or an assertion to the effect that an opinion cannot be expressed. When an overall opinion cannot be expressed, the reason therefore should be stated. In all cases where an auditor's name is associated with the financial statements, the report should contain a clear-cut indication of the character of the auditor's examination, if any, and the degree of responsibility he is taking. So those are the 10 standards of generally accepted auditing standards before the original GAAS. So we come now to the Philippine Standards on Auditing, or the PSAs. The Auditing and Assurance Standards Council, or the AASC, has been given the task to promulgate auditing standards, practices, and procedures, which shall be generally accepted by the accounting profession in the Philippines. So, na-develop na ngayon ang Philippine Standards on Auditing. Then there is now the adoption of the international standards to facilitate the preparation by the AASC of its pronouncement and to attain uniformity of those pronouncements with international auditing standards. The AASC has approved the adoption of the International Standards on Auditing, the International Standards on Assurance Engagements, or the ISAEs, the International Standards on Review Engagements, or the ISREs, and the International Standards on Related Services, or the ISREs, issued by the International Auditing and Assurance Board, or the IAASB, created by the International Federation of Accountants, or IFAC. So, nagkaroon na ng iba't ibang branches yung assurance, no? Hindi lang siya audit. So, kaya rin nagkaroon din ng iba't ibang standards na dapat sundin kung ito ba ay assurance engagement, kung ito ba ay review engagement, o isa lang siyang related services. So, this is now the result of the AASC pronouncements, the groupings or the different frameworks related to the framework for assurance engagement and the related services. So, under the framework for assurance engagement, we have three: the audit, the review, and other assurance. So, under the audit, these are the pronouncement under the audit engagement. There was the Philippine Standards on Auditing, or the PSAS 100 to 999. And the Philippine Auditing Practice Statements, PAPS 1000 to 1999. And for the review engagement, we have the standards, the Philippine Standards on Review Engagements, or the PSREs, numbers 2000 to 2699. And the Philippine Review Engagement Practice Statements, or the PREPs, 2700 to 2999. Under the other assurance engagement, we have the Philippine Standards on Assurance Engagements, PSAAEs 3000 to 3699, and the Philippine Assurance Engagement Practice Statements, or the PAEPs 3700 to 3999. And the related services, under the related services, we have the agreed upon procedures engagement and the compilation engagement. So, in here, the standards related to the related services are the Philippine Standards on Related Services, PSRS 4000 to 4699, and the Philippine Related Services Practice Statements, PRSPs 4700 to 4999. The system of quality control. Quality control are policies and procedures adopted by CPAs to provide reasonable assurance of conforming with professional standards in performing audit and related services. To assure quality control, engagement teams implement quality control procedures that are applicable to audit engagement. Provide the firm with relevant information to enabling the functioning of the part of the firm's system of quality control relating to independence, and are entitled to rely on the firm's systems unless information provided by the firm or other parties suggests otherwise. So these are some of the quality control procedures. One is leadership responsibilities for quality on audits. The engagement partner should take responsibility for the overall quality on each audit engagement to which the partner is assigned. The engagement partner should set example regarding the quality of audit by emphasizing through actions and messages the importance of performing work that complies with professional standards, complying with the firm's quality control policies and procedures, and issuing appropriate audit reports. Another quality control policies, ethical requirements. The firm should establish policies and procedures designed to provide it with reasonable assurance that the firm and its personnel comply with ethical requirements which include integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. Another quality control policy is independence. The engagement partner should form a conclusion on compliance with independence requirements that apply to the audit engagement. The engagement partner should obtain relevant information to identify circumstances and relationships that create threats to independence. Evaluate information on identified breaches of the firm's independence policies and procedures to determine whether they create a threat to independence. Take appropriate safeguards to eliminate such threats or reduce them to an acceptable level. Document conclusions on independence and the basis for such conclusion. So in the quality control policy on independence, ang tinitingnan nila dito ay dapat kung ito ay firm, yung kanilang mga client ay walang mga relasyon ang kanilang mga auditor na mag field work or naka-assign sa isang particular engagement. Dapat wala silang mga encumbrances. Acceptance and continuance of client relationships. The firm should establish policies and procedures for the acceptance and continuance of client relationship and specific engagement designed to provide it with reasonable assurance that it will only undertake or continue relationship and engagement where it has considered the integrity of the client. So, pwede daw silang mamili ang mga auditor kung sino lang ang gusto nilang client na i-maintain. And one consideration is the integrity of the client. Ayaw nila ng mga client na walang integrity. Is competent to perform the engagement and has the capabilities, time, and resources to do so. So, ito naman ay ang kakayahan ng mga auditors na i-assign, dapat meron daw silang competency and can comply with ethical requirements. So, that is the acceptance and continuance of client relationship. Then the human resources and assignment. The firm should establish policies and procedures designed to provide it with reasonable assurance that it has sufficient personnel with the capabilities, competence, and commitment to ethical principles necessary to perform the engagement. Such policies and procedures should address issues concerning personnel. So this is all about recruitment, performance evaluation, compensation and promotion, capabilities and competence, career development, and assignment of engagement team. So, dapat daw ay maayos ang palakad ng isang auditing firm regarding the different aspect of their employees so that they can be assured of quality performance by their employees. Engagement performance. The firm should establish policies and procedures designed to provide it with reasonable assurance that engagement are performed in accordance with professional standards and other regulatory and legal requirements, and that the audit report issued is appropriate in the circumstances. The engagement partner should take responsibility for the direction, supervision, review, and overall performance of the audit engagement. Monitoring. The continued adequacy and operational effectiveness of quality control policies and procedure is to be monitored. Policies and procedures must be adapted to provide reasonable assurance that the system of quality control are relevant, adequate, and operating effectively. And the quality control review. The government, through the Professional Quality Regulatory Board of Accountancy, or the BOA, has required all the CPA firms and individual CPAs in public practice to obtain a certificate of accreditation to practice public accountancy. Such certificate is valid for 3 years and can be renewed after complying with the requirements of the Board of Accountancy. So, sa Pilipinas ay hindi lang basta-basta nagpa-practice ang mga certified public accountants in the field of public practice. Kailangan ay meron silang, nag-undergo sila ng proper accreditation procedures to assure the quality and the control procedures are being implemented in the practice of the profession. So that is the end.